or not? That's the
I
question.
think with Absol, it's a little bit hard to play Kremlin because you are
Yeah.
kind of like a sitting duck in some cases, but we will see if that's actually something that, Toon will pick up.
It'll be fascinating, you know. It's just Assassin Nathan was also. I got distracted by that. He said "cram?" question mark exclamation point. You know, it's like Cramorant,
Ooh.
and so there he goes. He's gonna. Was Toon? Were you listening to me? Were you listening to me talk? No, I'm just kidding. He might have been running that the whole time. Maybe not. But we're gonna see if that cram can be that effective blue dodo that we know it can be. And when Toon's running it, I guess I should specify because. For instance, me playing a Cramorant is not something you want to watch. But Toon, he's made some damage. He's done some damage with it.
Yep, I think, okay, I say that Kremlin is like a sitting duck, but I think if you are able to time your attacks really well, you might be able to out-juke this Absol, and with that, Kremlin itself is able to deal a lot of damage as well, so Absol does need to be a little bit careful. I think it really comes down to the positioning of the fights and whether or not they have the skills accessible for them to actually pop off.
I just always think, you know, in Toon's hands, you have very capable hands there to run that Cramorant, just as you say, is to have the right aim, have the right positioning, and all that. The main thing that just kind of makes me a little bit shaky was those regional finals. And again, I hesitate to like rub salt in the wound. I don't mean to, I'm sorry, Gavin Gladiators. I don't mean to keep bringing that up.
Oh, I mean, as long as they are playing a Pokemon that you're comfortable with, I feel like that confidence can kind of bleeds into the game, and I think that's what we're gonna see, right? I think Jungle Book also on that Cinderace, a Pokemon that he is very well known for, is probably the angle that they're trying to go for, right?
Yes, and so I think everybody can see what's going on here. Unfortunately, A, all completely still other than Junkie, and so it looks like now Rin is going to kind of say, well, I'm here, but nobody else is, so I'm so sorry we had to make you guys wait, and then we're likely going to make you wait once again and hopefully just get this match back up again. It's just, obviously, now what goes on behind the scenes is the TO got to talk to them, they've got to talk to the TO, there's probably a lot that's going to be happening via chats right now, so let's just hope we can get this figured out for you guys as soon as possible, unless this is A's new strategy. Maybe A says, no, let's make them wait for a while. But no, I'm just goofing around, so we'll come back to you guys here for a little while. RT-san and I are going to try not to sweat too much as we burn some time, right, for these teams to get it all back together and then hopefully bring back the action to you as quick as we can.
Yep, I mean this happens all the time. Sometimes in tournaments, and we can't really control that. But yeah, we can definitely hold the fort a little bit for you guys.
Yep.
Seeing you guys in chat. What do you guys think about the team compositions coming in from YeatFans? Do you think they will be able to counter that of Team A? Is the question that I think all of us have in mind right now.
Yes, that is definitely the question. And so then you have to wonder, it's like, oh, maybe anybody watching or listening to this broadcast, I'm going to imagine that the players themselves that are playing these matches are not listening to us because they need to hear their teams. They need to hear the comp. I just wonder, though, do they look over at the broadcast ever? Again, I don't know these things. That may actually be frowned upon, perhaps by some people in the community, so that may not happen. I've never actually played in a tournament like this, on Unite, so I wouldn't know from a competitor's standpoint. I guess the point where I'm going with this, though, is do they actually change things up, or do we just see the same team comp go again? I don't know why they would change right now. I'm just wondering, maybe they saw, Toon went with that Cramorant. Maybe I should pick something else. I'm just using that as an example. But yeah, it was we just got a word. RT probably heard it too. We just heard our admin said, there was a disconnect. So we will confirm that for you.
Yep, so we will hold it a little bit more, and I think I hope we do see the same team composition because I really want to see how Toon is going to utilize this Cramorant against the team composition that A has, right? I do feel that Cramorant is good enough if you are able to utilize Air Slash as well as Dive quite effectively against the Absol. But of course, it really depends on who engages on who first because Cramorant and Absol both very squishy Pokemon.
I think that's what we see Toon running as far as the moveset goes in the past. It certainly is Dive. I've been seeing him run Dive a lot, and so I imagine you would pair that with the Air Slash. And so right here, we're seeing the Assassin Nathan said, dude, I hope they don't change. I want to see some slick Cramorant play. Right? So it's just like you were saying. So
everyone is waiting for it.
Exactly.
Everyone's just excited for it. And actually, I am wondering if he actually he was actually listening in on what we were talking about and decided, that this is the time to play Cameron. And I feel so excited just knowing that, right? Because then we finally get to see some Cameron plays again.
Oh, yeah, I would love that. And speaking to this, we'll actually talk of a past tournament. That was Kanashi and I. We were talking, we saw Game and Gladiators in that tournament, and they were running, essentially, some people in the chats were saying troll compositions. They were just running fun picks coming off of an official broadcast tourney win. This was months ago. And Kanashi was saying, Kendo, what would you want to see for them to have a weird pick, an unconventional pick here? And I said, you know what? I would love to see the sword come in. And it was like, as I was saying it, they picked Aegislash. And so Toon was the one that did it. So Toon, if you are doing this based off of us, that's huge. That would be a huge honor, if you're just messing with us, man. But I can't imagine he's doing it just for us. Toon probably has something in mind, but I just thought it was funny because it also happened with the Aegislash previously.
Right. Yeah, and I think Toon is just ahead of the game, right? Just knowing which Pokemons to actually use and the potential of these Pokemons as well. So it will be very exciting to see like what they bring to this game that we will be going into next.
Yes, so like we say, RT-san and I are going to try not to sweat too much as we just kill that time for you guys in the chat. But this is a good time for you to speak up because we're going to read what y'all are saying too while we have the time to burn, right? But the Rapidashery said dive cram time. So yeah, we were very, very likely to see the dive cram unless our theory is correct and Toon is listening to us and is going to go the opposite just because we said something. I think I'm joking around here, but
That would be really exciting. I haven't really seen Cameron using Surf as much anymore. But yeah, if Toon is listening, if you're listening, or if you're on his chat, maybe let him know that's something that would be quite exciting to see.
Yeah. In fact, actually, we're now seeing Dazzling Opals at dive Mammo time, just to kind of throw that in there. Hey, I would love to see the Mamoswine come unleashed, right? It's ready for action after that update.
Ooh, and I guess with that we are going into the game finally once again, and we will see if there's been any of the changes at all.
Right, so right now Rima, of course, gonna lock in the Sylveon right there. I'm not gonna mess that up again. Gosh, I was so close to saying Espeon. I don't know what it is with me today, you guys. But right now, of course, you note that Jungle Book on that Cinderace right there. And so when you think about this, typically you are looking at Cinderace to go to the central area. And so that's something RT I didn't even point out last time because I was so focused on Team A with their disconnect. But did they actually run Toon in the central or not? That was the question. Because you've got a Cinderace right there.
Yep, I definitely think the Cinderace is going to the central area. Marchand probably in the top lane. But it's whether or not they decide to do a 1-1-3 or 2-1-2. I feel like a 1-1-3 would be more beneficial to them, but at the same time, like I said, the Lucario and Sylveon is going to be quite a menace at the top lane.
Yes, so we are just mere seconds away to finally see, hopefully, what's going to happen now without that disconnect, right? Let me not jinx it right here. Yes, there we go, my friends. Viewers at home, we've now got Team A on the purple to YeatFans there for orange.
And we are going to see YeatFans with the 1-1-3. I think this will cripple the Absol a little bit more than the first game that we just witnessed just now. So the Cramorant as well scales quite early in the game. It does a lot of burst damage very, very early in this game, and I think this is kind of like the answer to kind of stop Rin from scaling so quickly as they did in the first game.
Sure. You notice, of course, Rin was dropping down pretty low here, too, and that was the goal, right, is push him back. Try not to let him get our experience. Hopefully not let him get any of his own experience, too, but obviously, beggars can't be choosers at all stages here, but looks like Absol, actually, they did split the central area's wild Pokemon just a little bit. We're just talking about one, it looks like, because Absol going to go ahead and take his fill up there, and notice the Cram actually trying to take his fill right here, and Toon, luckily, will eject on out of that situation.
I think a very nice escape, and once again, and yeah, it seems like he has gone for the air slash, but it's just not going to be enough for him to actually escape that fight. Still a very good steal to make sure that the Absol doesn't get its level 5 so early, and Rin does decide to go for the top lane instead of staying in the bottom lane.
Right, right. I'm glad you noticed that, of course, because this will be picking up a little bit more experience on the side as well with that core fish that was over there, just kind of off in the back, of course, on your top path. But meanwhile, everything else that's going on, Toon is back. That's the good thing about if you do drop early, it's not the end of the world. You obviously do not want to miss out on experience or preventing other experience from the other team, but it's, again, like we said, it's not the end of the world. Fast respawn timers and things, but notice who has dropped here. We had another 2 YeatFans drop as we're just about to hit that 8-minute mark on the clock.
Yeah, and I think, the rotation by Absol to the top lane instead to find some of the knockouts is definitely one that is very well planned from the side of A. I think they find a lot of value from that. Not just that, but the Kremlin does go down once again. So once we are seeing A play very aggressively again, and they are finding a lot of value from that.
Well, I think to your point earlier, you were saying like, okay, we can see Cramorant work sometimes. It's just here are the things that have to work for it to happen. But in the first case, what we were talking about Cram and kind of doubting it in the beginning is Cramorant does have that uphill fight. I just think, we're seeing Toon Slim get caught up in some of these situations that I feel if he did have another pick, he would have actually survived them. And so it is questionable, but hey, we'll see how the rest of the match goes, of course. And notice Rima now being caught off guard right here. Machamp able to get the KO and then dunk in. That's Overlord right there. And notice, of course, Absol, Rin trying to come in with the punish, and then OG was taken out of nowhere.
What great team fight plays from the side of A. I think they are just able to make all the rotations that they need, right? I mean, YeatFans, they find some value from that, but A, they manage to find the knockouts that they need, and they are in a pretty good position to actually get this first dread.
And you are right, they are going to get that first dread, and so now usually what tends to happen after that, it's not always, but you have the shields, you have the momentum. Oftentimes you made someone drop like these YeatFans members, so they did make them drop, and that leaves your opening in for lots of these dunks, and they're usually, in that 30 to 40, so that's what we're going to see right here, putting A at 173. Pretty nice.
Yep, and I think they have A has used some of the Unite moves already to get to the tier 1 goal zone, so they aren't going to push for the tier 2. But for the side of YeatFans, I think they are suffering in terms of the level, so they need to try and find ways to come back into this game.
And that'll be the question, is how can they make that happen? Well, you try to put the pressure on in all the right places, and so this is maybe the first test of that, right? As we have the Rotom going down, and it does look like that will also go for A, and so this is just going to add a little bit more of that, I would say, the pressure that they don't want. YeatFans wants the pressure, but on the opposite side, and so this is obviously not going the way they want, because that Rotom will touch down. That goal only has 4, so of course A has the time to think, all right, who's going to overdunk on this if they can? You'd like to get Rin in with that 40 or something, and there's going to be the Midnight Slash coming in crucial like this with the KO streak of 2. So yeah, they have plenty of time to figure this out.
I think YeatFans definitely wanted their Rotom to go in so that they have access to the top Audino to get back some of the EXP, but unfortunately A finds more value by getting some of the knockouts onto them, and because of that they are going to push towards the tier 2 goal zone, especially because the jump pads are not available at this point yet.
Yeah, that was the key thing, I think, right? Is because, you're bringing up the point of what would be the advantage to letting that Rotom touch down. The bad part came in that they just had such a high overcap on that goal for Team A, and it really has turned this. I mean, look at that. We have a huge lead. We're seeing the same alert that Team A is going to be seeing on screen. We've got about a second left for that Dreadnought, so here it goes. We got the rings unbound for both squads. That means anybody can teleport in right here. Notice how fast these objectives are going today, and then to Team A once again.
Yep, but it seems like YeatFans might be able to find some value if they manage to get the knockouts. They do. They manage to find 4, and I think that is extremely good for them because they finally get the levels that they need. They utilize the Unite move so well in that fight. They find some value in getting the knockouts and getting some points in. So good job for the side of YeatFans. This is kind of like how you should continue playing in this game.
Yeah, I'm glad they made that push because they definitely needed something here. It's just obviously the lead is so big, so we have to see what still will transpire in these next 2 minutes before the final stretch, because that's where things really start to exponentially change. Of course, Picadiff actually caught in between a Bliss and a Cram place, I guess you could say, but notice what's going on. Of course, OG was taken, now going to take the brunt and will be KO'd. Then the hyperspace hole out and back in.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of gameplay that you expect out of both teams having the Hooper. A lot of resets in the team fights, and that means very long, extended team fights, and therefore your positioning is so important. And I think YeatFans, they are finding it a lot better than the previous team. I think Machamp is able to find this app, so it's a really good counter pick, I would say. Just having that mobility on your own and being able to just burst him down is the angle that YeatFans wants, and they definitely know it.
And of course, if you notice what just happened there, Slash, you're actually losing Slash Can there, so you did lose a little bit of your support as that YeatFans team, but notice what's happening, of course, making it up is going to be Overlord right here as this Machamp just going for it. He's going to be very deadly, and so bringing off the KOs and then the dunks, and it's looking good because they also get the Rotom.
Yep, and they with the Rotom, they're able to kind of create a little bit more space for them to farm around the entirety of the map. And I must say that they are doing a really good job. YeatFans has a level 14 on this Machamp, already able to kind of counter the Absol in terms of levels. And I would say, you know, they were losing in the early game, but right now they are in an extremely good position, being able to zone out Team A from this Dreadnought.
That's right. That was a really good display, I would say, of what to do for that Dreadnought to... I mean, you didn't really have all hands on deck from Team A, so it looks like they didn't really prioritize that. But the point still stands that YeatFans really did have everybody positioned to zone them off, as RT-san said. So, brilliant, wonderful job. So let's see what happens now, because we essentially just have a few more seconds to break. You try to get some experience and some points gathered up, but really you're looking to see what to do with that Zapdos. And of course, there's that kind of poke, right? It's like a little poke to say, hey, come get me. You know, it's a taunt there from YeatFans to Team A.
Yeah, I think if Team YeatFans actually did see the game before, they know that this team fight is going to be so important. They are doing that exactly. They are kind of just making sure that the Absol doesn't get an angle into the Zapdos pit at all.
Yeah, and so notice what's going on here with Rima, of course, having the advantage of popping that Fairy Frolic earlier. Could run a lot faster. We did see, of course, the Rings Unbound that could bring in the TPs, but you notice who fell. I mean, lots of people from both squads, but we still have two of them right here for Team A to the one right now from YeatFans. So it's not looking great for Orange, but, you know, you could still go for a steal at this point because it's not out of control.
Yeah, Rin is very careful about the positioning of Overlord. Because I know Machamp is a great counter to him, and
Ooh. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it would have been the counter for it, but trying to go in for that steal and just barely going to fall off of it. So Team A will pick up that Zapdos, and that's what they wanted because they knew if YeatFans is going to get this, we have an entirely different game on our hands. But notice who? Of course, the Cinderace is going to be picking off. And are we going to see a Hundo Duncan? Yes, there we go. Unite runs on Hundos, ladies and gents, because Rin will go ahead and drop in those Hundo Duncans. And then we got some from Lucario up here. That's OG was taken. Going to obviously teleport back. You ride that pumpkin all the way till midnight, and here you go. So Overlord going to try to get in the Hundo of their own, the super pad right there, so that jump pad will make it different. But RT, look at this, we got YeatFans going for that tier, the next tier goal right here on the bottom pad.
Yeah, I think this is a really good decision because, you know, a lot of the Pokemon on the side of A isn't available, and they are able to kind of bridge the gap a little bit. 392 to 540 with 30 seconds on the clock. If they are able to get a good team fight in, they might actually be able to dunk enough.
Yeah, so that is the question, right? Because we are seeing with all point values doubled, you can make this a closer game, and so at least YeatFans is demonstrating that. But Rin coming in there with the Midnight Slash, but you saw the Blazing Bicycle kick just to try to follow that up. Do we have enough time? I don't think we do because there's just not enough points and time on the board. And then, of course, the defense from Team A. So it's as RT-san, you can hear her just sighing right there. You know, unfortunately, gonna give you the sign. I think that probably went to Team A, right? You know, I'm pretty sure we can all safely say. We'll go ahead though and wait for that score breakdown to tell you, because this will be a final score of 540 to 428. Nice effort.
Yeah, both sides did extremely well. I think even though A managed to get the Zapdos, I think YeatFans, this team knows what they're doing, right? They immediately find ways to counter the dunks, and it was a case where Team A didn't manage to dunk in like 500, and because of that, they were able to kind of bridge the gap a little bit more. Just unfortunately, OG was taken, just able to stall long enough for his team to come back and defend the top lane, even though Team YeatFans managed to score in some goals of their own.
Right. I feel like we may not have called out Big Uzi enough, but I mean, definitely credit where credit is due running that Blissey, because sometimes Blissey can be that really good score comp Blissey almost, you know, you can get in some dunks with the Bliss. And so we saw it right there. We saw a lot of the assists as it should. And so, you know, props to Big Uzi, but obviously, you know, we saw who was wearing the crown. We see Toon with that 73 though, so still running that Cramorant with a lot of damage. It's just, you know, we were trying to bridge the gap, as RT-san said, but we just didn't quite get there if we're YeatFans. And so, you know, now the question is, and Kanashi and I do this a lot, RT, so you can get brought into the tradition, is I always ask, what do they do differently in this next game?
Well, once again, I think both team compositions very well thought of. I think Cramorant itself, I feel like he used it quite effectively, right? It's able to deal a lot of damage to Absol, and I think in a 1v1 situation, it really depends on who kind of engages the fight first. But I think what kind of method in the game before, and what I think needs to change in the gameplay of YeatFans is probably at the Zapdos pit, right? I mean, they already found the Absol out. They managed to force a team fight rather than taking down the Zapdos. But unfortunately, they just didn't kind of engage right, and they managed to, and I think Team A were the ones that were able to find the most value, getting 4 knockouts, and with the Machamp itself just not able to get the last hit onto the Zapdos was what kind of like changed the game a little bit.
I hear you, and I also hear our chat. You know, I was seeing Dazzling Opal was like, hey, I heard someone was using Mamo top in this tournament. And, you know, I think, RT-san, I don't know if you would like that. I would really like to see the Mamo Swine come out, all right? But we're not sure that that's going to be the pick that'll save him. But, hey, definitely dream big, all right? If you're in the chat with us, let us know you're here. Say hi, and we'll get this game started for you as soon as we can. You know, it's just always, we coordinate with the teams, we switch sides, so just keep that in mind as well. We'll be seeing Team A, of course, go over to that orange squad this next game. And so just make sure that's not a jarring experience for our viewers at home, and we really appreciate you guys, you know? Feel free to retweet, you know, all that. We do have in that About section right here for Arcway Gaming. We do have that official Twitter profile for them. Absolutely good to follow, especially also if you wanted to maybe compete one day in one of these tourneys. Like, that would be a great way to stay just with the information, really up to the second, of course, with what's going on with Arcway here. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think community events like Arcway Gaming is definitely something that attracts people from different skill levels, right? You have like casual players, and you know, if it's something that you kind of want to go into more competitively, it's a really good place to kind of just dip your feet in and just try out different things in a community competition such as this one. I mean, like maybe prepare for the next Worlds that will be happening probably next year as well. So who knows, right? Just I think really we are all about having fun here and enjoying the game that we love to cast for and play as well.
Of course, and so you guys see it on screen as we do. We got Slash going to be go ahead and sticking with that Hoopa right here, but Rima also sticking with our Sylveon. OG, of course, running the Lucario, Pika Diff, and Big Uzi, both with the Blissies. So it's looking good. It's looking a little bit like what we expect, but what we don't expect is what Toon is going to do, right? That's always our wild card and our question here. So surely mere moments away.
Yeah, it seems like Team A has already put in their Pokemons. It is going to be the same team composition. It has worked out extremely well for them so far in the games before, as well as in this winners finals. And it seems like Toon is going to go for a different pick this time, and it is going to
what
be
did I tell you?
the Aegis Slash.
Toon, are you listening to me? Because I recalled the story from the past, so now he's going to go ahead and pick Aegis Slash. Toon! Well, I don't know if he was listening to me or not, but hey, that Aegis Slash actually better now than it would have been. Gosh, this must have been like 2 months ago, I feel like, when we saw the kind of more troll comp that picked the Aegis Slash. So it's been through some changes, and we see Gamma right there, our good T.O., who's giving us that laugh emote right here. So everybody in the chat, sound off. What you think about the Sword and Shield right there? Is it gonna help? Is it gonna hurt? Well, you're about to find out.
Yep, I think I personally prefer this pick than the Cramorant. I feel like Aegis Slash has found a lot more uses in the recent patches. It does have that kind of mobility, and that will help him be a strong force, I think, against, you know, the Absol.
Absolutely agreed. I would love to see Toon run with this and make something happen. I mean, it really, I've seen it happen, you know, with Toon, so I know that he's capable. It's just how much is this Team A going to actually hold him back? And so that'll be the question that we get answered, of course, as this all transpires. Notice we're trying to make an attempt at this Audino right here. Bring it down from Rin. They have the right idea. Now we got everybody joining in. So let's see that last hit. I couldn't even actually tell who that went to. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a fight on our hands.
Yep, I think YeatFans realize that the bottom lane is going to be so important because of this episode, and once again, they are trying to apply as much pressure as they can, making sure that it doesn't get as much EXP, and once again, it is not going to be level 5 before the first set of beasts, so Absol is going to go for his rotation to top like he did in the past, and once again, OG was taken as well as this Sylveon on the side of A, just pressuring top lane so much and doing so much for the team.
Right, and so those bees go down very, very quickly, as they often do. Any lane that has, you know, 6 people on it, those bees are going to go down fast, really. But regardless, I think we all saw what transpired just about 20 seconds ago, 25, and that would have been, of course, the Raboot now, but then Score Bunny actually falling kind of early there. It's the same principle that we mentioned before, but we now have a close fight on our hands with Overlord actually going to be dropping, unfortunately, because that, you know, the portal was right there. We had that hyperspace hole. Slashcan, definitely not without trying, will also be brought down here as well. So this leaves A with quite the opening here for this top path to make this progress.
Yep, I think the timing of it at this point, A does have the advantage. They have Pokemon that scales really early in the game. They have the Sylveon, they have the Absol that doesn't need the evolution. So it's no surprise that they are winning this by this much in the early game. So YeatFans, they need to play a bit more patiently. I think in the mid game to the late game, they definitely have a better team compositions that are able to kind of counter A. But for now, they have to make sure that they aren't giving as much knockouts as they aren't giving as much knockouts as much as possible to the side of A, so that, you know, they don't allow them to snowball as much.
And what did we say earlier about the caster's curse? The commentator's curse is that in Unite, anything can happen within 10 seconds, even 5 seconds. And so, as she was saying that, of course, YeatFans going to go ahead and overtake just by score, though. You're definitely right on the money with the levels still, though. I mean, we are noticing, though, these KO streaks of 2, however. So it's just as I'm talking now, we're kind of having this back and forth. You know, it's, hey, the levels, the score. So this is very close, and we like to see this because we're now at the 7-minute mark approximately. We're going to see YeatFans kind of widen the gap a little bit, but again, this is not by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, but they do manage to probably get the Dreadnought, and I think they haven't actually gotten the Dreadnought, but Aegis Slash is already level 9, and they are going to be the ones, they are going to be the aggressors this time in this game. So I think YeatFans, they definitely are the advantage now in this game with, you know, the Aegis Slash online and Machoke at level 8, just one more level to get his power spike at level 9.
Absolutely, we'll be looking forward to that, of course, but Jungle Book right now trying to assist here and also almost at level 10. And so as your central area player, that's what you would want, right? So this is going pretty well for Jungle Book, I would say. Gonna now, of course, make the attempt on Rotom, and so while we make the play on that, we are seeing another play going on down here. And so this is gonna be pretty good zoning if they can make it happen, but as I'm saying it, of course, Toon brought down, so you lost a little bit of muscle there, but wow, just as Artisan gasps, there they go. So there's the KO streak of 2 right here, and then also Jungle Book gonna bring them down. So looking very solid if you're YeatFans, because you got the Rotom touching down as well.
Yep, I think, you know, the combination of this Aegis Slash as well as the Machamp kind of just rotating in right there just found so much value for the side of YeatFans. I think Aegis Slash always going for Rin. Toon is angry, and Rin is the target for his anger right now. He needs to be extremely careful about this Aegis Slash that is able to close up the distance really quickly with the Sacred Sword, and then also with Machamp just finishing up the team fights right there. YeatFans, they're in a very good position in this second game between them and A.
Right, it could be that high risk, high reward principle right there with Toon and that Rin battle and everything, but we're noticing, of course, with a score of 209 to 74, and we're just about to hit that 5-minute mark, you are sitting a little pretty if you're YeatFans, but it's kind of also, as we've been saying over and over today, well, we get the KO right there for Rin, so that's going to be pretty nice, but the theme has kind of been, hey, we're not outside of the realm of a comeback yet, of course, though. It's just, it looks good, but it's not fully there yet. So we'll see. We may have Slash can, of course, bring people down with the hyperspace hole, but obviously A won't really have the advantage the same because the T1's knocked out right there.
Yep, I think lots of moves actually happening right now, and the Unite move of the Hooper has been popped already. So YeatFans, they do have the advantage in terms of numbers here, but I think A is trying to find value from doing other things as well, right? They need the episode to get the levels that it needs to skill better into the late game, and they are probably trying to find ways to kind of get in some dunks in as well.
Right, and so now we're seeing OG was trying to steal a little bit of the buffs, maybe steal some of this in the central area, but obviously gonna have to X speed out of there and just get on out because there was a lot of pressure coming to meet him. But meanwhile, all that's happening, we see Ren, of course, with this 50 right now. Would be nice to dunk that in, but of course, if it happens way too late, we'll be looking kind of closer to the final stretch for this principle, but sometimes you want to wait, of course. If it's, maybe say 15 seconds or so until the final stretch, you may hold on to it until that final stretch actually hits. Once that clock strikes, the all-point value is doubled. It really helps, but you saw what happened. A, of course, on the top path, going to pick up the Rotom, create some pressure right there, but it'll be answered by the Cinderace, of course, for YeatFans.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I saw it right, but it seems like OG has went for the Bone Rush instead of the close combat. I think he realized that close combat just puts him in a pretty precarious position in the previous game, so maybe Bone Rush does give him a little bit more repositioning abilities and probably help deal with the fact that this Machamp on the side of YeatFans is something to be really scared about.
That's a good point to look into, and of course we are seeing, when you look at the score breakdown, at least for A, we are seeing, of course, Lucario at the head of the pack. Like I said, Ren has full pockets. We see a lot of full pockets all around, so we're not really sure. It could change, momentarily, but that's how it stands right now, and we do have a Dread fight likely to come, at least because you have plenty of time before the Zap to hit that Dread very, very soon, but notice Ren going to pick up that KO before all this happens.
Yeah, I think they realize the strength of this Machamp, and they definitely know that it's important to bring it down, especially before this objective, right? Because now I think A has that kind of advantage and they know it, right? They are kind of going to go in for this, and without the Machamp, they just aren't YeatFans. They have to play very carefully around this Dreadnought.
We're seeing Miss Quacky there in the chat saying it's nice to see that Absol can be countered, and it's definitely true, Absol can be countered, but we do know, of course, a lot of the pro players' grief there was all over Twitter, of course, with the recent updates, right, about Absol. But hey, we'll see what transpires here in the next 3 seconds because we have that final stretch coming. There's going to be the rings unbound, so anybody can come on in right here from YeatFans. But look at this. They're going to see that they're in the lead, and that Zap was just blasted. It stepped on like a bug, RT-san. So here we go. YeatFans is going to pick it up.
Yep, I think this game has definitely been YeatFans one from maybe the mid-game onwards. I think A had a very dominant start to it, but YeatFans this time, they're able to find the right engages, and I think this choice of using Aegis Slash is so much better than that of the Kremlin in the first round, so I think they definitely deserve this victory here. I don't see how A can actually come back into this game at this point.
That'll be nice to get YeatFans a victory on board, but you guys know the saying. I hopefully haven't killed the statement already, but I'm trying to make it a thing, okay? So that's Hundo Dunkins all around for YeatFans and Unite runs on Hundos, you guys. So, looking good. Now we just have to see in the next minute what's going to be the response. It's generally the math does not favor you if you are Team A right now, because even if you scored massive amounts of Hundos, you have 5 Pokemon each to get those Hundos, right? And so I was never a math major, but we at least know that that would be 500 points. That still leaves you with a gap, though.
I mean, if you really want to go more than 500, it means you have to take a good team fight, and I think with the tier 2 gold zone soup up, it's going to be extremely hard because the shields and the healing that you get from it is just going to give the advantage to YeatFans side. So I think this game is definitely to YeatFans side, and that means we will have a game 3.
Right, and I think that's what we want to see in general. We want to see that these teams can come back and figure each other out, we want to see close matches, although this one, I would say, you know, when you look at final score, it doesn't look especially close, but it kind of was closer, at least for kind of the early mid game, I would say. You know, once we got into that late game, and of course, once we got the Zapdos, that's where the score gap went a lot wider. But hey, when you see Team A there with that victory, and now YeatFans going to pick up a victory right here, that means with that Game 3, these have to be at least somewhat neck and neck with the skill here. So, RT, I am all here for it. I know you are here too. And so let's see that score breakdown, and then we'll get a look at all the data and everything with that 709 as the final score to 264.
And wow, Overlord with the MVP on that side, and of course Rin as well. I think both Machamp as well as Absol definitely did a lot for the team. I think this Machamp though is really a problem for the side of Team A. It's just being able to, in terms of it just doesn't allow them to do what they want to do, right? OG was taken kind of going in first, and then Sylveon using Hyper Voice to get the damage down, just lines them all up for this Machamp's Unite move, and I think that's very dangerous for them, and they need to find a way to engage it in such a way that, you know, Overlord doesn't get to use his Unite move so much.
Yeah, I think also when I look at those KOs and the assists and all, when we looked at that data, it really showed the picture of this game of how we would want it to look, right? So Slash Can, plenty of those assists, Big Uzi, plenty of the assists, and then the KOs where you needed it, and on the characters you'd expect. And so it was played very well, you know, so good job YeatFans. And RT-san brings up a great point about Team A. You know, they're going to have to adjust maybe around the Machamp if that's the pick. We'll see, of course, you know, and they'll get to see, obviously, they'll have the advantage. And the question is, you know, when this happens and you're thinking about especially one particular pick, is when we're faced with that lobby where everyone's picking their teams, how long do you wait? You know, do you wait to see, are they going to actually run with the Machamp? Or, you know, do we just kind of have to lock in our team? And so, you know, it leaves you with little time to adjust on the fly if your strategy was to, say, counter Machamp, and then they don't use Machamp. So.
Right, for sure, right? And I think in these cases, it's usually the team that is losing that will change the team composition, right? Because they have to be they are the ones that need to adapt to the winners and how they actually play. So I think we might see a change in the team composition for the side of A, but I do feel that they are very comfortable with the picks that they have chosen so far. So that also means that they are very confident with it. And it might make sense to kind of go into it with that team composition, but kind of just change the way that they play.
Definitely a good point. So chat, sound off if you're here and you have any thoughts on that last match, because it was essentially what we wanted to see if you wanted an eventful and close, I guess, set right here. So wonderful. We're going to see that Game 3 momentarily, you guys. I hope that you're enjoying it. And of course, Arcway Game and the Unite Blitz, you got to follow on Twitter as one thing, but stay up to date. We're doing these monthly, and so it's typically, we've had to make a few adjustments, and it's just based on what's going around on the what's going on around the tournament scene in general. There are, I would say, lots of tourney events going on this weekend, and so just that in general meant that Arcway actually this time pushed it to Friday. Most of the time, though, for at least the Americas, I know RT-san's joining us from a very far away time zone, of course, but, you know, for the Americas, at least North American scene, your time zone is generally going to land this on a Saturday. And so that's generally what you can expect in the future.
Yep, and with that, we are going to go head first into the third and final game of this winners final. So we will see if A actually does make any changes to their team composition this time.
Right, and so the question is, well, actually, maybe the first thing to point off would just be, just so the viewers know, you know, we are switching sides once again. So, of course, our Team A there is going to be on the purple. And then, of course, that leaves orange to be the YeatFans, just like we started out. But hey, looks like Toon going to be rolling with the sword once again. And we are going to see, though, Rin hovering over, possibly going to be using Zarina. Now, could be technique to throw him off, but hey, we'll find out in just about 10 seconds.
Yep, Jungle Book as well hasn't locked in his choice of Pokemon. And it seems like, yep, the Absol is going to come back. But for the side of YeatFans, it's going to be a little bit different, right? We have the Serena instead of the Cinderace.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about. So yes, you're right. YeatFans will be running the Zarina, and so Rin was, I think, that was probably head games, right? You know, is try to make him think, well, I'm going to go Zarina, and then just kind of switch it you know, with that. It was kind of the principle I was talking about of, yeah, maybe a good 8-10 seconds to adjust to the strategy. But hey, looks like for the most part, I would say YeatFans kind of knew what they were going to bring to this, with the exception of Jungle Book right there.
Yep, I think A's team composition is definitely one that scales early in the game, and YeatFans knows this, right? They are looking towards the later game, and with the second game that just passed, I think they are aware that they have a chance to win, even if they were losing like the early game. So it definitely depends on how they play this time with the Serena instead of the Cinderace.
Yeah, so we're obviously noticing some really early on dunks right here, but Rin also jumping very low. I meant to say jumping very low. So yes, jumping very low on that HP, and it will be a KO. So like we say, very slow, quick respawn timer. So it's going to look good right now overall, but they did want to deny Rin that experience. And so, hey, YeatFans, they're putting in work, I guess, is what we can say about that. But right now, Rima trying to place the pressure here on Jungle Book, who will obviously feel the safety of that goal and regenerate back up. So we're just kind of looking standard right here with a minute down.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to point out though is that YeatFans have changed their rotation at bottom lane for every single game of the series right now. And I think they really are trying to find ways to make sure that the Absol gets even lesser EXP from what they did in the previous few games, and this time they managed to find the knockout on it, and I think they definitely are doing a lot better in the early game already.
I see, and so we obviously notice what's going on with our spectator cam. It's looking at Rin, because over here in the central area, we're looking to take these buffs away, and so we will right now. So Rin doing a few dirty tricks, right? And obviously trying to bring Jungle Book down as well. If you can get this kind of 2-for-1, Jungle Book, though, trying to make the offensive, and that will be Rin for the final strike.
Definitely finding other ways. You know, both teams are just finding other ways to get the levels that they need, right? I mean, YeatFans, they managed to stop Epso, but you know, Rin, he is definitely someone who's going to find play so aggressively, right? Go into the central area of YeatFans to find that EXP that he needs to scale up into this game.
Yeah, we see our chat. Assassination said a counter jungle play. Interesting. So yeah, it definitely was very interesting, and obviously making, I would say, the most with that situation, because not only did we get the buffs, we got the KO, but we even got out of there safely. So if we're Rin, we're sitting pretty. This is looking good. So right now, Team A with that 55, right here to 6. Still early game, but you're going to notice Big Uzi going to drop right here on this goal. So that provides a just more chance to dunk in on this one.
Yeah, I think SlashCan does rotate down and tries to actually stop the dunks in, but then it's not going to be enough, and he just needs to kind of hold the lane a little bit more, make sure that he is available to kind of bring the team down with the hyperspace hole.
Yes, and so that's what we'll be looking to. There's that hyperspace hole in the goal, and you notice, of course, that was a little bit daring, but also I would say a little bit deadly for A right there. So YeatFans having some positioning, but we got people coming back for A. It's just, can they make it back in time? That's going to be a no, because the right side team will go ahead and take that shield and experience that comes with the Dreadnought.
Yep, I think, wow, I think Machamp is jumping in right there with his dynamic punch, just decimated Team A entirely, and Toon to kind of finish up as well, chase them down, finds the knockouts that they need, and I think that allowed them to kind of get the first Dreadnought and delay A's kind of power spikes.
You're going to see, of course, everything that happened right here was pretty, I would say, back and forth, honestly, because we saw Unite moves from both squads. We saw, of course, it sort of started out with that Midnight Slash. Toon, of course, popping the coup de grace, and so then it was just back and forth from there. You know, you're trading KOs everywhere, and so this is looking like quite the bloodbath there on the bottom path, but now we turn our attention to the top. And so Rotom will obviously be the objective to maybe look to for the future. Our T-San brought it up pretty well, is that you don't quite go for the Rotom until everything else is handled. And so that's likely what we're going to see right here, because the Bees are coming up, both teams are putting pressure on, so it's going to be a slugfest for sure.
Yep, and right now both teams have access to their Unite move, so it really depends on how they're going to engage, right? I think Serena, Jungle Book has already used it on the Lucario, and because of that, it's going to be a 5v4. Actually, no, not a 5v4, but a 4v3, I think, because there are some Pokemon at the bottom as well. But YeatFans find more value from this. They managed to get the knockouts, they managed to get the Rotom as well, and they're able to kind of apply pressure onto this top lane with all of that.
Yes, and so they do want to see, can we maybe overcap this, or is that going to not be worth it? Because, for instance, Rotom's not going to even touch down, so that doesn't really make that a play, actually, as I'm talking. I really thought it was actually this close to it, and so I was kind of speaking out of turn. There you go. Maybe it was a different kind of commentator's curse, but... Ladies and gentlemen, we don't even have to go down that rabbit hole because we're seeing Jungle Book going down a rabbit hole of their own, trying to stop everybody here, but definitely outnumbered. So, RT, you're seeing it right there. It will actually result in, of course, Jungle Book losing their lives there. But now we have another Dreadnought fight, and Major League going to bring down a lot of people, but there it goes. So it's going to be actually Team A this time, bringing in the Dreadnought experience and shields.
Yeah, I mean, Team A, they managed to get the Dreadnought by what cost? The team fight right after goes towards the side of YeatFans entirely. Overlord once again coming in with the Unite move, and Toon just being there to clear them up once again allows YeatFans to find more value than A in that team fight as well as Dreadnought.
So we're now looking at a different game here, but it's not going to be by leaps and bounds because we've got the 140 and score to 60, and so you still have a lot of room to make some kind of plays happen, and this might be one of those plays that we're talking about because you try to push on one of these goals, especially where you have an opening or you win a team fight, but it's actually a reversal. So all of that, commentator's curse. I'm gonna bring it up again because you have somebody like Rin who's gonna come in here with a KO streak of 3, and so RT-san, tell me about it, right? Because now we're gonna see the KO streak of 4, and it's just it's deadly.
This is definitely Caster's curse. I just said that YeatFans was gonna win that team fight, but A comes back with another team fight, and they win that one entirely. 4 knockouts on the side of this Absol on Rin, and they seem to have just come back entirely from this game already.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to stick to a little bit more play-by-play right now because I am not calling them before they happen for sure. But we'll see the dive in right here. So Machamp just coming in with the Fists of Fury, honestly. So that will actually bring them down. So there's gonna be your tanky Blissey right there going down. KO streak of 2 though, meanwhile, from Absol. So Rin is still putting in work. So this is just meanwhile, all happening simultaneously. And obviously that Machamp, very squishy at the moment. You're 1 hit away, and so Rin is looking for that 1 hit. And there it is, trying, and there it finally happens.
Really good maneuvers from both teams, but unfortunately, the Machamp will be the one that goes down, and because of that, A is probably going to be able to get this Rotom. Although I guess at this point, it's not going to be that important. Dreadnought is also up right now, and at this timing, I think no matter what, both teams will still be able to defend from this Rotom.
Absolutely, and so that Dreadnought being brought down right now, it means it's actually going to go for left side team right here. That was a contest though, so we weren't quite sure who that was going to go for, but still looking good if you're Team A right now. That 275 to 110 for YeatFans. So clearly the play, you now see that 50 dunked in. Clearly the play is looking for a zap, I think, because we're just seeing the score gap increase for Team A. There it is, the final stretch.
And I think I need to point out that Absol is level 15, and that's kind of scary. Both teams already have Zapdos, and YeatFans, they are the one to get it though. Will they be able to get the dunk? This is another thing. Oh my.
That is right, YeatFans looking for that, and they get it. So there's the Hundo Duncan, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. You get a Hundo Duncan. You get a Hundo. Can we get some coffee with that Hundo Duncans? Yes, we can. So there it goes. There's going to be a 52. You see some hundreds with all point values doubled. This is going to look really well. But RT-san probably sees it too, is that Absol back there, Rin, they were trying to backcap, get as many points as you can in here, and that's leaving it a little bit closer.
Yep, I think both teams are just waiting for the 1 minute mark where they will know whether or not they are in the lead or not, but they don't know the numbers that we are looking at right now, and it is so close. Both teams just waiting for the 1 minute mark, and then we will see how they kind of respond to the other side.
It is definitely a close battle. I think the announcer guy is correct right now, right? In the in-game announcements. But anyway, we're looking at about 50 seconds. And so you really have to try to make a play if you're either team, right? Because it's that close. And so YeatFans, they're in a good position just because they do have really the zoning, right? They have this push right now, even these 9s. That's going to look really good with the point values doubled. So anything you can do. And now they're going to bring down Rin, that killer so far in this tournament, Rin. And there's going to be a very nice 30. So yeah, looking better for YeatFans, and then we can just teleport on out of here.
Oh, Picadis trying to go for the sneaky dunk, but YeatFans will be there to answer, and I think this means that YeatFans will be the one to win this winner finals.
And I would say normally you'd give it a never say never, but it's pretty clear, right? Because we only had 15 seconds left. It does not look like A is going to come back from that one. So yes, it is looking good if you're YeatFans. So here we are, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that'll be time's up. Wonderful job. Lots of points really from both teams majorly across the board. So looking pretty solid. And we'll await that score breakdown here on screen. Why am I not good with the timing on this? There we go. So that'll bring us to, of course, a final score of 602 in the favor of YeatFans to 513.
Nice, very nice gameplay from both teams this time. I think it kind of looked like A had a very strong lead in this game. They managed to find a lot of the objectives as well as the team fights from the mid to late game to actually allow this Absol to get level 15 by the Zapdos fight, and I thought that, you know, that would put them in a very good position. But I think SlashCan coming in with the Unite on the Hoopa just allowed his whole entire team to come in and kind of force a 50-50 at the Zapdos pit. And I mean, both teams, while the score is just so close, very well played.